Alrighty. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Mike Falcos of the Sahuarita Police Department. I'm one of the public information officers here. I wanted to get you all together today to update you on a homicide investigation that the department has been conducting since the 17th of May. On May 17, 2024, officers from the Sahuarita Police Department responded to the 300 block at East Calle, Minerva. Officers discovered a deceased person with obvious signs of trauma. The victim in this case has been identified as 51-year-old Terry Parker. His family has been notified of his unfortunate passing, along with the circumstances involved. As we had previously released, this was a homicide investigation, and detectives have been actively investigating this matter since it had occurred. Yesterday evening, Sahuarita PD officers took Douglas Goff, a 65-year-old Tucson resident, into custody on unrelated drug charges. This morning, as the investigation had continued, probable cause was established that Mr. Goff was involved in the homicide. He has subsequently been arrested and booked into the Pima County Adult Detention Center for first-degree murder. SPD detectives are still actively working this case and are asking anyone that has any information to contact 911, 88 Crime, or our tip line at 520-445-7847. Does anyone have any questions?
Can you talk about the PC?
I can go into a little bit of detail that, there was a significant piece of evidence that I can't disclose that linked him to the crime that was discovered.
Can you tell us the cause of death?
Mr. Parker was shot at least one time.
Do you know what the connection is between the suspect and the victim?
I do, but as the investigation is still ongoing, I can't release that information at this time.
Motive?
The matter is still under investigation, and we are still working on establishing that as well.
Where did Mr. Goff live?
Hold on one second.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Lupita. I'll come back to you, Kim.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's a very quiet neighborhood. We were out there today, very quiet. Everybody was shocked about this. How does this happen in a quiet neighborhood? What caused this?
Well, Sahuarita is a very safe community, as it is rare that we have, this type of crime. But like any other city, stuff like this can happen. Again, we are still establishing the exact cause of, why this happened, but eventually that will come out when the investigation concludes.
How many homicides have you all had in Sahuarita?
In 2019, that was our first one that we had in about 10 years. In 2020, I believe we only had one. Then we went another year without any, and yes, last year we had two. One was in January, that was a murder-suicide, and then we had another one that was in August.
Where's Mr. Goff from?
He's a Tucson resident.
Okay. Can you tell us whether they were associated with each other?
They did know each other. Go ahead.
Other sides of trauma, when you say signs of trauma, was it just the gunshot, or can you disclose any of the others?
I can't disclose anything else other than I can tell you that Mr. Parker was shot.
How cooperative has he been?
Who is who?
How cooperative has the defendant or the suspect been?
I can't comment on that right now.
Are you able to say where he was shot?
Not definitively, off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
Or
In your years of law enforcement, and I believe you were also in homicide, have you ever seen or come across anything like this?
In my 18-plus years as a police officer, I have seen several cases like this as well. Yes, I have.
You mentioned a significant piece of evidence that you can't elaborate on. Do you have any witness statements or any other sort of evidence linking into this incident? In other words, do you have neighbors that heard anything, relatives?
Well, I won't get into specifics of exactly what we have right now, as, you know, again, Mr. Goff hasn't even been arraigned yet. He's still sitting in the Pima County Jail, and there's a long process that's going to go with that. However, I will say that the evidence that we do have significantly ties him to this homicide.
Can you clarify if it was his residence where the victim was found?
Yes, the residence where this happened was Mr. Parker's residence. Yes, ma'am.
Signs of break-in or anything like that, or was it like, yeah, ending there? Were there any signs of break-in?
There were no signs of forced entry during this incident.
Can you give us a few details on the drug arrest?
So last evening, SPD detectives were attempting to locate Mr. Goff, as he had been a person of interest in this case. He was located in the area of Speedway and Wilmot. And through that initial contact, he was later taken into custody for possession of a narcotic drug with intent to distribute.
Can you tell us what kind of drug and the amount?
I can just tell you it was narcotics.
Does he have a criminal history?
Yes, he does. Does anybody else have anything else?
Can you tell us anything about the victim, how long he's been in Sahuarita, what he did for a living, family ties?
At this point, I really don't want to put his personal life out there, as I know his family is grieving. But I will say that he was a father and a brother and a son, and his family is grieving at this time. And the department is glad that we can give his family some closure on the unfortunate incident that occurred.
Did he live alone in the home?
No, he did not.
Were there other people present at the time of the homicide?
I'm not going to comment on that. Anything else? All righty.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming, guys.